Hello everyone, it's Gina from orchidandopal.com, and today I am back with 2 months worth of Bead Box Bargains finds to share with you all. So these 2 packages include pretty much double what I would normally share in 1 month because I skipped over one of my shipments, so we're going to be doing both packages now in one video this time. Some of the items you'll see today may not be available any longer at Bead Box Bargains because they are a store online that sells closeout beading supplies and their stock is limited. But at the same time, there's probably a lot of things there if you check out their store today that weren't there when I placed these orders. It's always fun to check out their site, especially regularly because their stock changes often. And their prices are really great, especially when you combine them with the high value coupon that comes in their sister site, the Bargain Bead Box. So if you're a subscriber to that subscription, every month you get a coupon code to use at their online store. And they have tons of stock, including Czech glass beads, gemstones, metallic components, and the list goes on. Now, you don't have to be a subscriber to their sister site through that monthly subscription in order to shop on Bead Box Bargains, so anyone is welcome to do that. And I have the link to their store listed right down below the video, which will take you right to it. And also down below, I have the coupon code OPAL15, OPAL15, which will save you 15% off your purchase at Bead Box Bargains. But we've got tons of stuff to look at today, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. All right, let's kick it off with the gemstone strands from the first package. I have 3 of them here in the red aventurine variety. These are all 14.5-inch strands, so nice and long with tons of beads to work with. In the 4, 6, and 8 millimeter sizes. These have various tones of orange mainly throughout. Some areas are darker, some are more of a lighter peach tone, but they're all really warm overall. And you can often find these graduated sizes of gemstone strands at Bead Box Bargains. So when I do see them, I tend to like to pick up some of those different sizes in case I want to use some of those together in a single piece. So I'll have coordinating beads to work with just like this. And you can see how they are in a really great shape, lots of pigment here, and pretty consistent overall. Up next, I have 3 strands of the green aventurine variety, also in the 4, 6, and 8 millimeter. And each of these strands before the discount, both the green and the red aventurine, they are all between $259 and $349 per strand, and that's before the 30% off discount from the subscription box. These are really beautiful too, and I just love that tone of green that we often see with the green aventurine, which is like a deep, really fresh minty tone. And with these, the larger 8 millimeter size, they look slightly lighter in color than, say, the smallest, the 4 millimeter, but they all blend beautifully. Up next are 2 strands of the Malaysia Jade in quotations. It's really quartz. They're rounds in the 6 and 8 millimeter sizes in the color aqua. So of course they are dyed to achieve that look with the beautiful shade of light aqua that they have. The smaller strand being 309 and the larger one being 429. And these are also 14.5 inches long with lots of these really consistent, smooth, round, polished stone beads. And then next for the quartz, this time I have a 15-inch strand of the 8 millimeter round dyed frosted aqua colored quartz. So these have more of that frosty matte, smooth but not shiny appearance to them, which blend really well with the Malaysia Jade quartz that we just saw, and could provide a nice balance between the shiny quartz and the more matte quartz. I think those would be potentially interesting to use together. And then next, these beauties are the 3 millimeter robin's egg faceted quartz rounds on a 15-inch strand, and I wish I'd gotten some more of these. They're stunning, especially in person. They've got a really, really saturated aqua blue tone, and I just love those tiny faceted gemstone beads, the way they sparkle. These were $479 for that strand, and as you can see, I've got this wrapped up about 3 times around my hand, so it's a really generous quantity of beads. Up next is some more quartz, this time in the frosted dandelion color. $2.99 for both this strand and the frosted aqua that we took a look at in these 8mm dyed quartz stone rounds on another 15-inch strand. And I'm loving this pop of yellow too, actually, with these colors I'm seeing behind it. I think that's a really beautiful palette and sort of spring-like. These have the matte appearance to the outside of the stones as well, and plenty of color saturation throughout the beads. And next we have 3 strands of tree agate rounds in the 4, 6, and 8mm sizes, all between $3.59 and $4.49 before the discount. Again, with the long, almost 15-inch strands. And tree agate is one of my favorites, and actually it reminds me of a bargain bead box we got several years back. And it was a mix of tree agate beads and silver tone findings and lots of pine cone themed goodies. If I had to think back and think of one of my favorites, it's definitely in the top 10, I would say. That's probably one of my favorite packages they'd put together. The tree agate's just so stunning. It reminds me of snow-topped pine trees or a snowy forest, the way it combines the deep forest and olive greens with the stark snowy white and lighter tones in there. So again, we've got 3 strands that are all in great shape with a beautiful mix, each of these stones being just a little bit different from the next. And glad to have 3 of those sizes that coordinate together. And then next up are 3 of the natural agate stone rounds in the 4, 6, and 8mm sizes. $3.49 for the 2 smaller strands and $4.49 for the largest 8mm size. These don't have any additional dye or anything. They're in their more natural state where you can see the various areas of browns, black, gray showing up along with the more clear and white areas. And then last, I believe, for this package, for the graduated sizes, these are the Crazy Lace Agate round beads, also in 4, 6, and 8mm. The 2 smaller sizes being $5.09 per 14.5-inch strand, and the largest one, the 8mm, being $5.49. These are all so interesting to look at, once again with their subtle differences between each of the beads, some of them reminding me of planets with their different striations going around. You get this mix of warm and cool tones together, lots of mustard yellow, some burnt orange, in addition to shades of gray, taupe, a little bit of black, white, so really each of these rounds being their own little work of art, and great prices for getting stone beads like this. Up next are these stunning aquamarine chips, which were $7.89 for 13 inches. They're all between 8 and 12mm in size, but they're all shaped slightly different, as the chip beads are, in their more thinner slices, but still smooth and polished edges, in all their more tumbled, organic-looking shapes, and all having that aquamarine bluish hue in graduated pigmentations of that from bead to bead. Some having more transparency, some having a little bit more of a concentration of white coming together with the blue, making them look lighter overall. And these are a great way to add texture to your pieces. All right, the final strand of stone beads for my first package, I believe, is this one, which is a 14.5-inch length of the 4mm larvakite, which is black labradorite round beads. They've got a little bit of that chatoyancy, as you can see, that flash of blue that shows up in certain spots. Seeing a little bit down there, not too terribly flashy, but just a little hint of that every once in a while, depending on where you're looking. And these have a much darker charcoal gray appearance overall, as opposed to the lighter gray that you see typically on the standard labradorite. So those are just the stone beads from the first package. I did get a lot of stones this time around, but I still got tons of Czech glass, which we'll get to. And each of these packages came to around $125 after that 30% off coupon code, which came with the subscription package. So it's a great source for gemstone beads. And I think you'll see also for a lot of fun and interesting Czech glass shapes as well. But since we're on the gemstones, let me go ahead and start to open up package number 2, We'll take a look at the stone beads from inside of there, and then we'll look at the other types of glass beads I picked up and any pendants and metallic components after that. All right, everyone. So these first stones were pretty great, but I have to say some of my favorites are in this second package because there's some really unique finds in here that I don't think I've seen show up at Bead Box Bargains before. Beginning with these strands of stone Hishi beads, and I've got 4 different varieties that I picked up. I'm pretty sure at the time that I placed my order they had even more, but these are 4 examples. First, the brownish one at the back. Those are, of course, the Tiger Eye. $5.99 for this strand. These are all 15 inches, and the size of these beads are 4 by 2 millimeters. And whenever I see more interesting shapes like this, in addition to rounds that I might already have, I love to pick them up because you don't know when you're going to see them again or if you're going to see them again pop up on Bead Box Bargains. And they add a great mix of shapes to other more basic round shapes you may have already in your stash that you can mix in and create some really interesting things with. I have to say that Tiger Eye is so beautiful. The way you can see the play of light that's bouncing off those golden brown areas, it's stunning and has the beautiful dark chocolatey brown contrast. Now next to that, I have the strand of red jasper, which overall you can see is brick red pretty much in its appearance. And every so often you get some spots of mossy green or brown and some lighter shades of tan that break that up just a little bit. But overall you have that deep red with a brownish undertone. And then next to that is some unakite. This is a stone that's found a lot around where I'm located in Virginia. And it has a beautiful mix of different shades of lighter and darker olive green and pops of this beautiful salmon color. Every once in a while, some spots that are a little bit more clear or white or bring in some additional neutral tones. But overall being greenish with those pops of peachy pink or light coral. The red jasper, by the way, they were $6.39 for that strand. The unakite, $6.49, and then the final one we see is the rhodonite, which has those various shades of pink, and that one is $7.99 for the strand. That one also has some variations in the colors that you see along the strand, bringing in some areas of neutral and that light bone color with those shades of deeper rose pink. So each of these are just stunning, and they are cut pretty consistently overall with a very smooth and glossy outer shine. Up next, now these are definitely 2 of my favorites. They are also some of the more pricey beads that I picked up this time around. $12.99 for the 14.5-inch strand of the amethyst and $13.99 for the apatite, these being in the 10 by 7 millimeter gently faceted cylindrical shape. And boy, if I could pick up some more of these, I might just do that because they are in fantastic shape. You can see the amethyst has the gorgeous varieties and shades of purple that you're used to seeing with a high gloss shine, especially with the gentle faceting that they have in the cylindrical shape. It just makes them feel really special. The apatite are also some of my favorites anyway because of that really rich mix of teal blue and cerulean. And you get that wonderful mix on all the beads that you can see here as well. And they're even just so beautiful separated out with those individual silver-lined spacer beads, which are just meant to space them out, not meant to go with them. But I really don't think it would take much to put with these to really set them off and to really appreciate all the beauty in each of these stones. And next up, something else I was really excited to see show up on their site is some kyanite in another really interesting shape. These were another splurge at $14.99 per strand of the 7.5 inches of 10 to 23 millimeter rough oval beads. And these have a really interesting and subtle layered appearance, which reminds me a little bit of, I'd say, maybe a cross between mother of pearl and mica, which hopefully that's sort of coming across, but you can see almost those layers in the kyanite stones where you can see in this type of cross section, it's almost like a frosty frozen body of water with some of those deeper blue areas showing up from within. But I definitely don't have anything like these, so again, I wanted to snap some of these up because you just don't know when you're going to see these particular varieties in a really interesting shape show up again. And then similarly, here's my other splurge. This is the 15-inch strand of 9 to 30 millimeter size kyanite graduated stick beads at $13.99 for this one, which also have that deep icy blue look in those deep dagger-like shapes, but still smooth and rounded, not sharp. All of them being just a little bit different in the length and their color variety, but all being very beautiful in their own way as they come together as a group. You can see how some of them are really long there. Then you've got this variety that are shorter. So I think those would make a really interesting graduated piece where you could break up some of the beads on the strand and use them together in different ways, really playing off the different sizes that they've sent. And then these could also look really interesting with those. They're quite different, although it says they are kyanite, but these are the rough stick beads in a 7.5-inch strand. These are the 14 to 40 millimeter size variety, and this one was $7.99. Definitely having a much greener overall appearance and a lot rougher appearance, not looking as tumbled and therefore not bringing out the true color as clearly. Sort of reminding me of like greenish sea glass that hasn't really gone through its whole process of being tumbled. And here's a closer look at some of those. You can see the greenish cast and that rougher outer appearance. Again, a lot of great texture these would provide. And also a greenish complement to some of those blue kyanite stick beads. Up next, I have this really fun 7.5-inch strand of the 10 to 20 millimeter electroplated quartz rough nuggets in rainbow iris. These were $6.39, and you can see they're in this chunky, rough cut shape with tons of color showing up on top of these quartz crystals in this sort of oil slick-like rainbow of colors. Each of these has a slightly different shape, mainly being flat near where the hole is located. And you have all those different metallic tones popping up in various areas, which kind of shift a little bit as you're looking at them from different angles. And then, unless I missed something, these are the last items in the gemstone category. They are two of the approximately 41 millimeter size fancy jasper top drilled disc pendants. $3.49 each, and I picked up two because I knew they would each be slightly different, which these two are. The one on the left having more areas of white showing up, and the one on the right being a little bit more greenish overall, but both having varieties of some brownish and tan spots and some of that reddish tone. And then flipping those over to get a look at this side as well. These are very smooth and polished, consistent along both of the sizes, and you have that hole that's drilled right there from the front to the back. All right, so this is only about half of what I have to show you today. It's already a lot and taking up this entire space in my camera view, so I'm gonna have to move these stones out of the way because up next we're gonna take a look at loads of Czech glass, other crystal beads, and a few additional components. All right, so I'll start out with the Czech fire polish beads from package number 1. And in that one, I picked up a ton of the 6mm Czech glass fire polish faceted rounds in all sorts of different colors. Now I picked up 2 bags of each, so that's what you're seeing in each of these containers is 2 bags worth. And I won't quote all the prices, but just know they were all between 99 cents per bag, most of them being just a little bit over $1, and then the highest one $1.99, which was in that lime nebula. These are all bagged up safe and sound, but I took them all out of their packaging for the video so we can look at each of these outside of the bags up close. So here we have selection number 1. These are the 6mm in white opal. So sort of that combination between the transparent and opaque glass, or like a translucent where you just get a little bit of light that can pass through, but overall they're pretty cloudy, with every so often there being a little flash of light that looks like it's coming from within. And again, each of these containers is holding 2 bags worth. Each bag had 20 pieces, so you're seeing a total of 40 pieces for each variety. Up next are the stunning jet vitriol. So they have the jet black opaque glass at their base with that vitriol coating over the top, where you can see hints of various colors in the metallic coating showing up on parts of the beads, especially some hot pink, green, blue, a little bit of purple. Up next, we have the alabaster/gray travertine. So these have a more toned down, stone-like appearance with the different shades of gray showing up, some areas looking darker than others. The next one is called lavender silk, and it's stunning. I love that combination. And you see how there's some deeper purple tones that seem to weave their way through that more creamy, lighter purple shade, with that darker shade showing up closer to the middle for most of these beads, indicating probably where they were pressed together. Up next, we have the opaque lavender. So this is just a lighter shade of that toned down grayish purple with no additional coating on the glass, just the shiny and very consistent faceted fire polish. The next variety is called Crystal Nebula, overall being a very deep blue, but in certain areas you can see there's some aqua and teal showing up and even a little bit of pink and purple. So each of those areas is just slightly different, and there are some areas of transparency. The next variety is called Crystal Apollo AB Multicoat. And at first I was looking for more of a golden colored bead when I was looking at my list, because the Apollo usually indicates a golden tone, which may be sort of underneath this AB. But that's just to say these are more of a cooler grayish color overall, and maybe even have a slightly greenish tint to the transparent glass, with lots of areas of the rainbow-like coating showing up and bringing in those vibrant blue, pink, and green metallics. And then lastly for this tray, we have the aqua blue/black swirl. So just a mixture of those two colors showing up in different concentrations, but mainly that aqua blue overall and these striations of black popping up more in some beads than others. In this next tray, we have the pastel aqua with that gorgeous satiny shine and consistent deep aqua color that shows up all throughout the opaque coating of the bead. Up next are the Lime Nebula, which have that kind of a deep olive green appearance underneath the extra coating, and that coating bringing in a lot of silvery and bluish shine on top of that olive green. Up next, we have the Blue Opal/Roman Rose. And I'm not seeing a lot of blue and not a whole lot of rose either, just a little bit hint of that rosy color or bluish tone as well in certain areas. But overall, you see the light antique gold that is glistening all around the surface. Next are the crystal/magic copper variety, where you have some of that crystal clear that also shows that magic copper color variety and finish showing up that give these sort of a backlit appearance on that side. And then the side where you have that coating, of course, you have that more opaque metallic variety of mainly copper, but also a little bit of pink and a little gold and silver showing up. Up next are the etched crystal gold capri that are so shiny and also have that textured etched appearance on the outside, which breaks up a little bit of that shine that shows up on most areas of the beads, with just a little bit of that crystal coming through in some spots. And then we have the yellow jonquil in that light lemony yellow with the transparent glass. That's followed by the crystal/champagne luster, which have that champagne or light tan color, and also a hint of a transparent silvery shine, which adds an extra reflective property to the outer appearance. And then last in this tray is the milky pink, or what could also be described as the pink opal, which is similar to that white opal. You can see even a flash there of some of the light that comes through, which is what we usually see with these opal varieties in the Czech glass. In the third tray, I have the Leapt Jet. This has a textured appearance instead of just being a solid opaque jet black, which sort of remind me of the lava stones. And then the next two have the golden splash over the top. This is the turquoise green variety, which is stunning. You can see the flecks of metallic gold on top of the opaque turquoise color. And then you can also see that in the next one, which has that same golden splash, but this time on top of the opaque green, which I would describe as a medium Kelly green. I also picked up a couple in the larger sizes. This is the 7mm size, so just a little bit larger, in the jet bronze luster. And here you're looking at 20 pieces or 2 bags worth as well, these being $1.69 per bag, with the jet black glass at the base and then that bronze luster showing up over top, providing that very consistent deep brownish metallic. And then in the largest size that I picked up, the 8mm, there's 2 bags worth or 32 pieces in total of the Czech fire polish in matte jet. These were 99 cents per bag, and these simply have more of that toned down frosty coating without being brought to a glossy shine. Up next, I'll show you 4 different styles of the 21 by 16mm Czech pressed glass flower oval beads. These range from $1.09 to $1.59 per set of 2, and I picked up 2 bags of each, so 4 pieces of each variety. And I think this is interesting because all 4 of them have sapphire blue glass at their base, but they all have different styles of wash over the top, and it really gives them each their own unique look. This first style we're looking at, these are the sapphire with a pink wash. So these flat oval beads, they have the hole going up and down through the length of the center, and that pressed flower shape shows up on both sides, with the wash really bringing out a lot of the detail in the flower design and also giving them an overall different color variation than they would without the wash, and also compared to the different ones. The second variety I have here is the Sapphire Nebula. So this coating really covering up a lot of the base sapphire glass, making these a deeper purplish tone with a rainbow of other colors showing up just subtly in various spots. Up next are the sapphire / rose gold, with these providing a lot of contrast between that rose gold wash and the sapphire blue in the background, with that flower detail being a lot more obvious than, say, the nebula one before it. And then here is the 4th variety I picked up in Sapphire Picasso / Ice Blue Wash. So this one has a lot of that silvery, light blue coating, and it makes the beads overall look more greenish than deep blue. Some of my favorites are always the Czech pressed glass leaves and flowers. I just love seeing all the different varieties of shapes that they have and how different they look with their different coatings and color combinations. And Bead Box Bargains has tons of different varieties coming in and out of their store all the time. I had to pick up one of those. This is the Daisy Flower Bead variety in crystal / full slipperit. It's 2 bags worth and 8 pieces in total, and they're 4 pieces for $1.19. That slipperit coating is stunning and vibrant and provides a lot of those warm sunset-like colors of pink, orange, gold, and other shades showing up that are a lot of fun to look at. And of course, as usual, that flower shape is the same on both sides, with the hole showing up right there and going up through the center. Next, I have 2 bags worth of the Sunburst oval beads in the aquamarine / gold wash variety. And these were 99 cents for 5 pieces. So I've got 2 bags worth here, 10 total that we're looking at. with the transparent medium aqua blue shade and that etched sunburst-like design that shows up all around these flat ovals and the gold wash settling into each of those areas. I also picked up two different varieties of the geometric flower coin beads, which you've seen me pick up over some of these different Bead Box Bargains finds videos. I just keep seeing new varieties showing up, and I just happen to really like this combination of the geometric flower design etched into these flat circular shapes and the contrast of different washes and base glass that we see. This variety is called Crystal/AB/Aqua, and they're sold for 2 pieces at $1.39. I've got 2 bags worth there, of course. And I just love that iridescent shine that they have with that AB coating showing up over the crystal glass, and the aqua wash bringing out the geometric flower detail and also giving the base glass a bit of a lighter aqua appearance, even though they are pretty much just crystal clear. Here's the other variety I picked up, which I think are just so cool. These are in the matte jet/slipper-it. $1.19 per 2 pieces. Got 2 bags worth here. And that wash is so stunning with the frosty and more plain jet black background. Really shows off that design and the shine and beautiful rainbow of colors that we see, with some of them being more pinkish overall and some being a little bit more bluish. And the final shape of Czech glass before we move on to the next package are some of the fluted melon drops. I have 3 different varieties in different shades of red and different washes, 2 bags worth of each, and sold 5 pieces per bag. First up, these are the etched rose red/rose gold wash, and these are $1.49 per bag. That rose gold wash giving these sort of an antique look, with the darker etched reddish color showing up behind it. The little bit of ribbing that these have around the outside to add some additional texture, and also that coating that settles in a little bit more in those areas, but is still splashed on the outer surface. Up next, I have the etched rose red with the nebula wash, providing that less vibrant but still shiny sort of bluish cast to the outside of the beads, a little bit more subtle overall than the rose gold, and giving these a little bit more of that galaxy-like shine. And then the final variety of these are in the etched coral red/copper wash, which have that bright coral red opaque glass underneath that metallic coppery wash that lets a lot of that red come through as well, with certain beads and certain areas being a bit more textured. This one back here having a lot of texture going on, and some areas being a little bit smoother, and those hints of ribbed areas around the outside. From package number 2, I have a handful of these 4mm Druck beads or pressed glass rounds that are on these 4.5-inch strands, and you get about 30 pieces of each per strand. These range from just 99 cents each to a little over $1 before the discount that I used. And I'll just go down my list. We'll start with the Amethyst Azzurro, which has the combination of that light dusty purple opaque glass and those hints of metallic blue that show up on portions of the glass. Next is this brighter purple strand, and this is called the Alabaster/Violet Speckled Coat. So it's got a alabaster or light colored glass at its base below that speckled coating, which allows for some of that additional variation in the color, where some of the darker areas are a little bit more concentrated with the coating than others. Our next one is called Opaque Royal Blue, which is really a classic and rich blue color overall without any additional finish and in that classic round shape. We follow that up with another speckled coating combination over the alabaster glass, this one in the cerulean. So a stunning and rich, deep aqua blue tone, again with the variations of color throughout the beads and that slight speckled appearance. Our next one, another speckled variety, this time in the sky blue, which is lighter and shows some more of that alabaster coming through underneath. Next is this one, which is gorgeous, a combination called teal slash sky blue swirl slash chrome. And that teal looks to be more transparent with more opaque sky blue, and then the pops of chrome metallic. I just love that combination. It's really beautiful how all those come together. And up next, this one, which has a beautiful sheen to it, is called the opaque turquoise slash silver splash. And that silver splash gives these a more greenish appearance to what would be a greenish turquoise underneath. And some areas are a little bit more greenish and some areas do look a little bit more blue, but overall have that shiny silver showing up all over the outside. Up next is a variety called opaque dark coral red slash travertine. And these are a very deep reddish color, kind of an oxblood, and that travertine coating bringing in spots of some deeper grayish greens. So they're not just all a solid color. And next is the one called Amethyst Swirl, which is this purple with a pinkish undertone. And you can see those swirls of different shades throughout each of those little tiny rounds and that band that shows up sort of in the center and how they're pressed together. The next strand is one called Crystal slash Lila Bronze Luster. So just a hint of a purplish tone and that very light bronze metallic coating that still lets the light pass through these transparent crystal clear beads, overall making them look a bit antique. This next variety is called Green Swirl Lazure Blue Luster. I'm seeing a lot of sort of olive green and dark grayish tones, definitely a luster coating with that extra sheen on top. And then last for the 4mm size, I have a strand in the deep violet slash multi swirl. And they have some, as it says, deep shades of purple with little bits of green swirling through as well. A little bit of gray I'm seeing. Overall though, a very deep purple for the majority of them. As usual, they have lots of other colors in these particular styles that I'm showing you. I didn't pick up everything, but when you go check out their site, I'm sure you'll have fun seeing all that they have to offer. This just gives you an example of some of the beads, particularly in these strands of very versatile shapes and sizes, like the round pressed glass shape that's great for bead weaving, but also stringing and other types of projects. We're not done yet, even though I sounded like I might have been wrapping up. We're not done. I've got next 2 strands of the 10mm Czech pressed glass Baroque style round beads. The one in the front is the chalk white slash baby blue luster. And then there's also the chalk white slash topaz pink luster. These are $2.59 per strand. Pretty sure they had a bunch of other colors of these as well, but I'm loving these two. They have the chunky, larger 10mm shape, which would be great in place of rounds if you want to use those in some stringing maybe, if you want to add a little bit more texture to a piece with more round beads in it, or just a little bit of additional interest. And as you can see in that pink variety, it's got just a hint of a rose gold sheen over the top. And that pink shows up sort of sprayed like all around those beads. This blue one being a little bit more solid overall in its color, with some of those areas with more impressions being a little bit deeper in that blue tone. Both of these are 4.5-inch lengths and contain about 14 pieces. And I've got 2 more interesting strands to show you. This one is full of the pressed rosebud beads in the 5mm size and the metallic multi-mix, which we see a lot across the Czech glass, where it's mainly different tones of gold, but there's also these pops of green, reddish, pinkish, sometimes even purple, solid metallic colors showing up which overall blend beautifully. And you can see that these rosebud style beads have that design on both sides in sort of a mirror image with the hole running up through the center. Here's the final strand, and this one contains the 6mm Czech table cut glass rounds in the 3-window variety with this combination called medium sapphire / bronze luster, $1.99 for this one. And by the way, it was $1.09 for those rosebuds we just took a look at. But these are so beautiful how the light shines through the sapphire blue. And each of these beads has 3 of those spots where you have that flat table cut style. And then around that, you have those areas of bronze luster showing up, just giving those spots some variation to their appearance and really setting off those flat spots of blue. Now the next style I'm going to show you are the 4mm Czech pressed glass cube beads. There's 5 grams in each of these sections, which is 1 bag's worth. Each of these bags were just a little over $1 a piece. I've got 8 different varieties to show you that I already took out of their original packaging. We start with the opaque coral red nebula luster, which overall is a beautiful deep red and has that bluish nebula sheen that we've seen on other beads as well today. Including this one, which is in the opaque turquoise nebula variety, which appears to be a medium blue color overall, just hints of some reddish pink and purple as well there. Third in this shape are the hematite with their very deep silvery black appearance. These small 4mm cubes, by the way, could be used in place of 4mm rounds in some circumstances, especially since they're so consistent in their sizes. You could also use them perhaps in place of other 4mm bicones or similar one-hole shapes. This variety here is called the opaque turquoise / terracotta gold luster, which is another stunning combination. And we follow that up with the opaque yellow nebula. This one's really interesting since it says yellow in the name, which would be the base color of the glass. But when you add that nebula, look how it turns these into an olive green with that interesting luster coating as well. Up next, we have the opaque turquoise travertine, which appear to be overall a mint green, and they've got a really lovely silver sheen all around the outside. Here are the opaque yellow travertine, and this has a lot more variation to it, with lots of areas allowing that bright yellow to show through, and then certain areas where you have that speckling of the travertine coating that looks to be more concentrated in certain areas and bringing in a little bit of that earthy tone, but still with that silver cast to the shine. And then the 8th variety I picked up are in the crystal sangria luster. So a crystal clear glass at the base with this reddish color that's coated all around the outside and that metallic golden sheen. Similarly, I have this palette of Czech pressed glass, little tiny 4mm bicones, which I just love. And again, you can use these in place of other crystal bicones sometimes, or other round 4mm beads in certain circumstances, not all, but just to give you an idea of another way you can think to use these if you are into bead weaving and don't have a specific project in mind with these. Each of the varieties here range from about $1.39 to $1.79 per 5-gram bag, which is the quantity that you're looking at. And we start out with the Crystal AB variety with that light rainbow-like sheen showing up on top of the crystal clear. Up next, we have Turquoise Nebula, which make these look much more blue overall with that deeper metallic coating. We follow that up with the opaque turquoise / gold topaz luster. You can tell I like the color turquoise, I think. So next we have the opaque turquoise / travertine these having a more greenish turquoise appearance and that light silvery shine and more neutral silver cast showing up in some spots. And then we have the opaque turquoise vitriol, which would look awesome actually with some other dagger beads I just got in last month and showed in a different video that you might recall. These having that fun combination of the bright opaque turquoise and the vitriol coating with a much more vibrant and apparent rainbow effect of solid colors in metallic varieties on parts of the outside. The next variety is called crystal/topaz rose luster. So these being pretty transparent with the crystal clear glass and getting their color from that topaz rose gold sheen that shows up on the outside of the glass. Next are the very vibrant coral luster, which are opaque but have an additional shiny silvery luster coating, which still allows that base color to come through completely, adding an extra sheen. And this last variety here is the coral red nebula. So it's got that coral red like we see right next to it, but that nebula coating really giving this a darker appearance overall, and still that beautiful sheen that has a bluish cast to it. And then last for the Czech glass, we have 3 bags of the 9x7mm mini tulip beads, and I'll go ahead and take these out. The first variety here is in the Aztec gold, which is an opaque, toned down, metallic gold color, which coats the entire surface of that tulip shape, which you can see has the hole running there up and down through the center of the flower and both sides having that tulip-like design. Next on the list are the alabaster full AB/pink wash combination, which are slightly iridescent with the AB coating, the main part of the flower being light pink overall, and then you have the darker pink that really settles into those pressed details and bring that floral shape to life. And then here's the final variety. This is in the alabaster/light pink, with that pastel pink shade overall. Not a whole lot of variation there, just a tiny addition of wash showing up to add a hint of additional detail. For those of you who are still hanging in here with me, you guys are awesome. We have a few additional crystal bead items to take a look at and just some minimal findings this time around. So for the crystals, I have these strands of very sparkly 2.5 by 1.5mm crystal rondelle beads that were 99 cents each before the discount, and definitely the smallest crystal rondelles I own. Be hard to get much smaller than this. We have the going from the one further back, the metallic green iris, followed by the peacock iris, then the green/blue/gold mixed iris. Next is the metallic red multi-iris, followed by the 5th variety in steel blue iris. And these are so small, they're almost the size, of an 11-0 seed bead. And just look how shiny they are. They are so fun. Each of these varieties, by the way, come on an 11-inch strand. And here is the full look at how those come. Now the last items in the crystal section are all mixes of bicones that are 4mm in size. They all come in these bags which contain about 190 pieces at $1.99 each. So I'm just going to go ahead and take each of these varieties out of the bags like we did with some of the beads, and then I can show you and let you know what each of these varieties is called. Alright, so I think it's so fun to see all of these together in a palette like this. And there's 2 that did not fit into this container, so I'll show you those after these. But we start out with the pink mix, and these do have a little bit of purple mixed in as well. They all have different shades and varieties showing up in each of these bags, and some additional metallics as well, like some with the gold coating You have some that are more transparent, more opaque, giving you a range to work with that you could use separately or together. Here is the amethyst mix in more of the shades of purple. Some really fun varieties in there as well. And of course, these are Chinese crystal as opposed to the Czech crystal. Not as great quality-wise, but still very usable. Still lots of fun to play around with. I'm just letting you know that if you are wondering, so you know what to expect. The difference just being they're not the top tier like Preciosa quality. And of course they're priced accordingly. You get lots more here to work with, which can be helpful in certain circumstances. This next one is our sapphire mix, which is stunning. I'm loving those opaque like cornflower blue varieties in there, those deep shades of cobalt. Next is the ocean mix with the beautiful aqua shades and some of those golden metallics. We follow that up with the forest mix, which is primarily made up of tones of green in the transparent and more opaque varieties with some metallic bicones as well. Next up, we have the sunshine mix. I like that. And those very bright pops of yellow, especially where you see those opaque yellow beads showing up, and also some of those more opalescent or white luster bicones. Next is the citrus mix. So lots more orange brought into that mixture, along with a few yellow varieties still in there as well. And then last in this container is the ruby mix. Of course, lots of shades of red, from the opaque cherry red to our deeper garnet tones, and a mixture of opaque and metallic shades. So there you go, lots of fun and tons of beads in here, which would coordinate well together or be used separately. The two that didn't make it in the container, first is the jet gray mix. So you have more neutrals in this combination with black and silver and a few of those iris varieties. And then finally, the topaz mix, which is also featuring a lot of neutrals in the brownish shades, and you see some gold and camel colors, light tan, and champagne. I also just picked up a few findings this time around. I do want to let you know that they have tons of great components that show up all the time on their site. So even though you don't see as many of those on this video, you can definitely check those out, as well as other focals and pendants, and sometimes string materials and the like. And something that I've been seeing more of show up are stainless steel varieties of findings, which I love for the two main reasons being that they are generally hypoallergenic, but also retain their color tone. You don't have to worry about them tarnishing like some of the brighter silver-plated findings. So I won't take them out. I know they're not quite as exciting, but just to let you know some of the things they have. This is a bag containing 50 of the 21 gauge stainless steel ball head pins, and they're $2.49 for 50 pieces of these. I also picked up a bag of 50 pieces of the 6mm size 18 gauge surgical steel jump rings at 99 cents. And Bead Box Bargains remains one of my favorite places to pick up chain as well. So I have two examples, the larger one being the 4x3mm stainless steel cable chain, and the smaller being a 2.5x2mm size cable chain. $1.99 and $1.49 each for 1 meter in total of both of these varieties. So we've made it to the end of this marathon Bead Box Bargains finds video. I want to thank you all so much for being here and for watching, especially till the end. I appreciate you all so much and am thrilled that I was able to share these finds with you, and hopefully you enjoyed checking them out, but also found the video helpful. Maybe there's some of the things on here that you were also checking out on their website, and this gave you the opportunity to see them up close, or to also get an idea of some of the things you can find over on their site. Like I said, I will leave the link to their shop right down below the video. You definitely don't have to be a subscriber to their Bargain Bead Box monthly subscription in order to shop on their site, but that's where you do get that high value coupon every month, and their subscription is also a wonderful value that I highly recommend. So I'll leave that link as well as a coupon code for their subscription right down below as well. In addition, if you'd like to, you can use the coupon code OPAL15, OPAL15, which will save you 15% off your total purchase at Bead Box Bargains, where you can pick up your own finds. And while you're here, I hope you will subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I'd love to have you back. And I also will, I'm sure, have some of these items showing up in finished pieces and tutorials in future videos. Also, feel free to give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and share it wherever you'd like. If you have any favorites that you saw today, or have anything else to say about Bead Box Bargains or any other comment, feel free to leave that down below. But that's all I have for now, and I hope to see you all again soon. Until next time, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and as always, happy beading.